Captain Jake Morrison stood at the wide window of his ship's bridge. Outside, he watched the last group of transport ships leave the Mars station. These ships carried the final group of humans, leaving the outer colonies. Their homes were gone. Now, all of them. Jake's hands were behind his back as he watched the ships disappear into space. His face showed no emotion, but inside he felt cold anger. 3 months ago, the aliens called the Hegemony had attacked 3 human worlds. They had not just attacked the military bases. They had killed everyone. Every man, woman, and child. Even the babies. "Captain Morrison," said Commander Lisa Torres as she walked up behind him. She was his second in command and had been with him for 5 years. Her voice was steady, but Jake could hear the anger underneath. "The last transport is away. All civilians have been moved to the inner systems." Jake turned around to face her. Lisa Torres was a small woman with dark hair and sharp eyes. She had lost her brother on New Haven, one of the 3 dead colonies. Jake had lost friends there too. Everyone on the ship had lost someone. "Good," Jake said. His voice was quiet but firm. "What about our mission briefing?" "Ready when you are, sir," Lisa replied. She held a data pad in her hands. "The crew is waiting in the main briefing room." Jake nodded and followed her through the ship's corridors. The UE's Retribution was the newest and most powerful warship that humans had ever built. It was 3 kilometers long and carried weapons that could destroy entire cities. The ship's hull was black metal that could absorb most forms of energy. Its engines could push it faster than any other human ship. The briefing room was full when they arrived. Jake looked at the faces of his crew. These were good people who had signed up to protect human colonies. Now those colonies were gone, turned into graveyards by aliens who thought humans were weak. Lieutenant Sam Bradley sat in the front row. He was the ship's weapons officer, a young man with blonde hair and steady hands. Next to him was Dr. Amy Watson, the ship's doctor and alien expert. She had studied alien life forms for 10 years, hoping to help humans and aliens understand each other better. That dream was dead now. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia sat near the back. He was an older man with gray hair who had built engines for 30 years. He had worked on the Retribution's special systems himself. These systems would help them do what needed to be done. Jake walked to the front of the room and activated the wall screen. Images appeared showing the 3 dead colonies: New Haven, Liberty Point, and Eden's Rest. Each world showed the same thing: burned cities, empty streets, and silence where millions of people used to live. 3 months ago, Jake began. The Hegemony sent us a message. They did not use words. They used murder. They killed every human on these 3 worlds. Not just soldiers. Everyone. The room was completely quiet. Some crew members had seen these images before, but they still hurt to look at. The aliens had not just killed quickly. They had taken their time. They had made sure every human settlement was destroyed completely. The Hegemony broadcast these attacks across space. Jake continued. They wanted other humans to see what they did. They wanted us to be afraid. They wanted us to surrender our other colonies and hide in our home systems. Jake pressed a button and new images appeared. These showed alien ships and alien worlds. The Hegemony controlled 47 star systems with over 200 billion aliens living in them. They had been conquering other species for 1,000 years. Earth Command has given us new orders, Jake said. We are not going to hide. We are not going to try to make peace. We are going to show them what happens when you kill human families. Lisa Torres stood up and activated her own datapad. Operation Silent Verdict begins tomorrow, she said. Our mission is simple. We will visit every Hegemony world. We will destroy everything we find there. No warnings. No prisoners. No survivors. Dr. Watson raised her hand. Her face was pale but determined. Captain, I have studied these alien species for years. Some of them might not have wanted to attack us. Some might have been forced to join the hegemony. Jake looked at her with cold eyes. Doctor, did the hegemony ask which human children wanted to die? Did they spare the ones who might have grown up to be peaceful? Dr. Watson looked down at her. Hands, she understood. The time for mercy had passed when the first human colony burned. Lieutenant Bradley spoke up. Sir, what about the weapons? Are we cleared to use the new systems? Yes, Jake replied. All weapons are authorized. Quantum disruptors, nanite clouds, stellar destabilizers. Whatever it takes to finish the job. The quantum disruptors were new technology that could tear apart matter at the smallest level. The nanite clouds were tiny robots that could eat through anything. The stellar destabilizers could make stars explode. These were not weapons for fighting armies. These were weapons for ending civilizations. Chief Garcia cleared his throat. Captain, the ship is ready. All systems are working perfectly. The new stealth drives will keep us hidden between attacks. They will not see us coming. Jake looked around the room one more time. These people had joined the military to explore space and protect human colonies. Now they would become something different. They would become the instrument of humanity's revenge. I know this is not what any of us wanted, Jake said. But the hegemony made the choice for us when they decided to murder 3 billion humans. We did not start this war, but we will finish it. He pressed another button and star charts appeared on the screen. Red dots marked 47 hegemony systems. We will visit every red dot on this map. When we are done, there will be no hegemony left. No ships, no worlds, no memory of their empire. The crew sat in silence for a moment. They understood what they were about to become. They were going to commit genocide against an entire interstellar empire. But as they thought about the dead human children on those 3 worlds, none of them felt sorry about it. Questions? Jake asked. There were none. Everyone knew what had to be done. Good. We leave in 6 hours. Get some rest. Tomorrow we begin the work. As the crew filed out of the briefing room, Jake remained behind with Lisa Torres. They looked at the star charts showing all those alien worlds full of alien families. Any regrets? Lisa asked quietly. Jake thought about his friend Paul, who had been teaching school on New Haven when the aliens came. Paul had loved alien culture and had always believed different species could live together in peace. Now Paul was dead, killed by the very aliens he had admired. No, Jake said. No. Regrets at all. The UE's Retribution dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Zephyr system. Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge, watching the main screen as it showed the alien worlds ahead of them. 17 planets orbited the yellow star. All of them were full of alien life. Sensor report, Jake ordered. Lieutenant Sam Bradley looked at his control panel. Sir, I count 17 inhabited worlds, plus 43 space stations and hundreds of smaller settlements. Total population estimate is 22 billion aliens. 22 billion lives. Jake felt nothing as he heard the number. The aliens had killed 3 billion humans without any warning. Now it was their turn to learn what that felt like. Any signs they detected us? Asked Commander Lisa Torres. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia checked his readings. No, ma'am. The stealth systems are working perfectly. To their sensors, we are just empty space. Jake nodded. The Retribution's new technology made it invisible to most detection systems. The aliens in this system were going about their normal lives. They had no idea that death had just arrived. Dr. Amy Watson was at her station. studying the alien species they were about to destroy. Captain, these are the Kavari. They are a bird-like species that joined the hegemony 300 years ago. They are known for their art and music. My records show they are mostly peaceful. Were they peaceful when they helped destroy New Haven? Jake asked coldly. Dr. Watson looked at her screen. The records showed that Kavari ships had been part of Vi, the attack fleet that hit the human colonies. Their beautiful bird-like voices had sung while human cities burned. No, sir, she admitted quietly. Kavari warships were present at all 3 colony attacks. Jake walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew worked at their stations. These people had once been explorers and peacekeepers. Now they were about to become something much darker. Begin the operation, Jake ordered. Target the outermost world first. Full quantum disruptor barrage. Lieutenant Bradley's hands moved over his weapons controls. The quantum disruptors were humanity's newest weapon. They worked by tearing apart the bonds that held atoms together. When they hit a target, that target simply stopped existing. Weapons charged and ready, sir, Bradley reported. Fire. The Retribution's quantum disruptors fired in complete silence. There was no flash of light, no explosion, no dramatic effects. One moment the alien world was there, a blue-green sphere covered with cities and farms. The next moment it was gone, not destroyed, not exploded. Simply gone, as if it had never existed. First target eliminated, Bradley reported. His voice was steady, professional. Moving to target 2. The second world died, just as quietly as the first and the third. Jake watched each planet disappear from the screen. Billions of aliens died in each attack, but there was no sound, no visible destruction. The quantum disruptors erased matter so completely that there was nothing left to see. Sir, said Torres, their communication networks are trying to send distress signals. Jam all communications, Jake ordered. No warnings leave this system. The Retribution's electronic warfare systems activated. Any alien trying to send a message to other hegemony worlds found their signals blocked. The galaxy would not learn what happened here until it was too late. Dr. Watson monitored the destruction with her scientific instruments. Captain, the quantum disruptors are working beyond our predictions. Each shot is eliminating the target. Completely. No debris, no radiation, nothing. Jake was pleased. The cleaner the destruction, the more mysterious it would seem to the rest of the hegemony. They would find empty space where worlds used to be, with no clues about what had happened. Next target is a major space station, Bradley reported. Population, 12 million. Destroy it. A space station vanished. Its 12 million inhabitants had less than a second to realize something was wrong before they ceased to exist. Their families on other worlds would never know what happened to them. Chief Garcia monitored the ship's systems. All weapons are operating normally, Captain. We can continue this pace for days without any problems. Jake nodded. The Retribution had been built for this kind of sustained attack. Its weapons could fire continuously. Its shields could deflect any counterattack. And its engines could outrun any pursuit. Sir, Torres said, we are getting some interesting data. The aliens are starting to panic. Their military ships are trying to form defensive groups, but they do not know what they are defending against. On the main screen, Jake could see alien warships moving between the remaining worlds. The bird-like Kavari were brave, he had to admit. Even though they could not see their enemy, they were trying to protect their people. It would not help them. Target their military ships next, Jake ordered. Let's see how brave they are when they start disappearing. Bradley adjusted his targeting systems. Locked on to their largest warship. It carries a crew of 8,000. Fire. The alien warship vanished mid-flight, leaving only empty space where it had been. The other alien ships scattered in panic. No longer trying to form organized defenses. Dr. Watson was taking readings on her instruments. Captain, I am detecting massive electromagnetic disruptions from the remaining worlds. I think they are trying to evacuate their populations. Jake felt a cold satisfaction. Now the aliens knew what fear felt like. This was what human colonists had felt when hegemony ships appeared in their skies. How long would it take them to evacuate? Jake asked. At their current technology level, about 6 months per world, Watson replied. They have 6 minutes per world, Jake said. Continue. The attack. The destruction continued with mechanical precision. World after world disappeared from the system. Space stations, asteroid mines, orbital factories, everything that showed signs of life was erased from existence. The Kavari tried to fight back. The remaining warships fired every weapon they had at the empty space where they thought the human ship might be. Energy beams and missiles flew through space, hitting nothing. The Retribution remained invisible and untouchable. They are broadcasting surrender messages, Torres reported. Multiple languages, all offering to give up if we will stop the attack. Jake did not even look at the messages. Delete them. Number. Communications with the enemy. The humans had tried to surrender when the hegemony attacked their colonies. The aliens had ignored those pleas and continued killing. Now they would learn what it felt like to be ignored. After 6 hours, the Zephyr system was empty. 17 worlds, 43 space stations, and hundreds of smaller settlements had been erased completely. 22 billion aliens had died without ever seeing their killers. System cleared, Bradley reported. No signs of life remaining. Jake looked at the main screen. Where a thriving alien civilization had existed that morning, there was now only empty space and distant stars. The Kavari species had been completely eliminated from the galaxy. Plot a course for the next system, Jake ordered. The hegemony has 46 systems left. We have work to do. As the Retribution prepared to jump to hyperspace, Dr. Watson made a final sensor sweep of the dead system. Captain, there is no evidence that any advanced civilization ever existed here. To outside observers, it will look like this system was always empty. That was exactly what Jake wanted. The hegemony would find empty systems with no clues about what had happened. They would live in fear, never knowing when their world might be next. Time to next target? Jake asked. 18 hours at maximum hyperspace speed, Garcia replied. Jake nodded. 18 hours to reach the next alien system. 18 hours before more alien worlds would learn the price of attacking humanity. The Retribution jumped to hyperspace, leaving behind a system that would forever remain silent. The first chapter of humanity's revenge was complete, but the book was far from finished. News of the Zephyr system's disappearance reached the Hegemony High Command 3 days later. Emperor Vorthka, supreme leader of the 47-member species, stared at the report with growing horror. An entire star system had gone silent. 22 billion Kavari had simply vanished. How is this possible? Vorthka demanded of his military advisors. The Emperor was a tall reptilian creature with scales that changed color with his emotions. Right now, they were turning dark red with fear. General Hexdu, commander of the Hegemony fleet, studied the data on his screen. Your Majesty, our investigation. Ships found nothing. No debris, no radiation, no signs of battle. The worlds are simply gone. Worlds do not just disappear, Vorthka hissed. What about the humans? Could they have done this? Impossible, Your Majesty, replied Admiral Kesna. Human technology is primitive compared to ours. They do not have weapons that could destroy entire planets without leaving traces. Meanwhile, 18 light-years away, the U.S. Retribution was proving the Admiral wrong. Captain Jake Morrison watched his crew work with deadly efficiency as They eliminated their fifth alien system. The depths, an aquatic species that lived in the oceans of 12 water worlds, were learning that their deep seas could not protect them from human weapons. "Begin atmospheric ionization," Jake ordered. Lieutenant Sam Bradley activated a new weapon system. High-energy plasma beams lanced down from orbit, superheating the alien oceans until they boiled away into space. The fish-like depths had nowhere to hide as their water worlds became barren rocks. Dr. Amy Watson monitored the process with scientific detachment. Ocean temperature rising past critical levels. Complete atmospheric loss in 40 minutes. The depths tried to fight back, sending their bioships up from the ocean depths. These living vessels were grown rather than built, and they moved through space like giant sea creatures. But biology could not defeat quantum physics. The human weapons tore apart the bioships at the molecular level. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia had perfected their stealth systems during the past 2 weeks. "Captain, I have modified our hyperspace signature. We are now completely undetectable, even during jump travel." This was crucial. The hegemony was starting to realize they were under attack, and their fleets were trying to track the mysterious enemy. But the retribution moved like a ghost between star systems. Invisible and untouchable. Commander Lisa Torres coordinated their attacks with military precision. She had created detailed files on each alien species, noting their weaknesses and the best ways to destroy them. Next target is the Crystalline Collective. Silicon-based life forms living in asteroid belts. Recommend use of resonance disruptors. Jake nodded. Torres had become frighteningly good at planning extinctions. Each alien species required different methods of destruction, and she had figured out the most efficient approach for each one. The Crystalline Collective lasted 2 hours. Their crystal bodies, which had evolved in the vacuum of space, shattered when exposed to specific sound frequencies. Billions of living crystals died as their atomic structures collapsed, leaving behind only sand floating in the void. "System cleared," Bradley reported. "No survivors detected." Jake was satisfied. 6 alien species had now been completely eliminated. The hegemony was beginning to understand that something terrible was happening, but they had no idea how to fight an enemy they could not see. Emperor Vorthka was no longer pretending to be calm. His scales had turned black with terror as reports came in of more vanished systems. The Kavari, the Depths, the Crystalline Collective, 3 entire species had disappeared without a trace. "Send messages to all systems," Vorthka ordered. Maximum alert status. All military fleets are to patrol constantly. Report anything unusual immediately. But the reports that came back only increased the panic. Hegemony scout ships were finding empty star systems where thriving civilizations should have been. No wreckage, no bodies, no evidence of what had happened. Just silence where billions of voices used to sing. General Hextu tried to maintain order among his forces. "We are facing an enemy with unknown capabilities. All fleet commanders are ordered to work together. No ship travels alone." The strategy failed completely. Working together only made the alien fleets easier targets for the retribution. Jake and his crew had developed new tactics for dealing with large groups of enemy ships. Deploy nanite clouds, Jake ordered as they encountered a hegemony patrol fleet. The nanites were microscopic robots programmed to eat through any material they encountered. Released into space, they spread out in invisible clouds that dissolved anything they touched. The alien ships flew straight into the nanite swarms and simply melted away, their crews dying before they realized they were under attack. Dr. Watson had stopped feeling horror at the destruction they were causing. She had reviewed the data from the human colony attacks too many times. The aliens had used biological weapons that caused slow, painful deaths. Human children had suffered for hours before dying. Now Watson felt only scientific curiosity as she watched alien species become extinct. The hegemony is trying to evacuate their core worlds, she reported to Jake. Long-range sensors detect massive civilian movements toward their capital system. Jake considered this information. How many aliens are they moving? Approximately 50 billion, from what I can calculate, Watson replied. Jake smiled coldly. Good. It will be more efficient to destroy them all in one place. But first, they had other targets to eliminate. The singing stones were a mineral-based life form that communicated through crystalline vibrations. They lived on barren worlds, growing slowly over thousands of years. The Retribution eliminated them with sonic weapons that shattered their crystal matrix. The wind dancers were energy beings that lived in the atmospheres of gas giant planets. They died when the Retribution used gravity weapons to compress their home planets until the gas ignited in nuclear fusion. Entire worlds became temporary stars, burning away the aliens that had lived in their skies. Each extinction was documented and analyzed. Torres kept detailed records of what weapons worked best against each species. Watson recorded the biological data about their victims. Bradley perfected his targeting systems. Garcia improved their stealth technology. They had become a machine for committing genocide, and they were very good at it. The hegemony's attempts to fight back became increasingly desperate. They sent their fastest ships to Earth, hoping to attack the human homeworld while the mysterious enemy was busy elsewhere. Those ships never arrived. The Retribution intercepted them in interstellar space and erased them completely. Emperor Vorthka tried to send peace messages to Earth. He offered reparations for the colony attacks, territorial concessions, tribute payments, anything to stop the slaughter of his people. The messages were transmitted on every frequency. In every human language, Captain Morrison received those messages and deleted them without reading. There would be no peace talks, no negotiations, no mercy. The hegemony had made their choice when they decided to kill human families. Now they would face the consequences. 23 systems cleared, Torres reported during their daily briefing. 24 alien species extinct. Estimated enemy casualties now exceed 100 billion. Jake looked at the star chart showing their progress. Red dots marked the systems they had sterilized. Green dots showed the remaining hegemony worlds. There were still 24 green dots left. Time estimate to complete the mission? Jake asked. At current pace, 6 more weeks, Torres replied. 6 weeks to finish destroying the hegemony. 6 weeks to turn a 1,000-year-old empire into empty space and dead worlds. Jake was satisfied with their progress. Dr. Watson raised a question that had been bothering her. Captain, what about the other alien species in the galaxy? The ones not part of the hegemony? They must be watching what we are doing. Jake had been thinking about that, too. Long-range communications were picking up frantic messages between various alien governments. Other species were watching the hegemony disappear and wondering if they would be next. Let them watch, Jake said finally. Let them see what happens. When someone attacks humanity, maybe they will be smarter than the hegemony was. The crew returned to their work. There were still 24 star systems, full of aliens who had participated in the murder of human colonies. Justice would not be complete until every one of those aliens was dead. The Retribution jumped to hyperspace, heading for their next target. Behind them, another empty star system marked their passage through hegemony space. The cascade of destruction continued, and nothing could stop it. Emperor Vorthka stood in the command center of his capital world, watching the largest military display in hegemony history. 3,000 warships filled the space around his homeworld, representing every surviving species in his empire. It was their final stand. All fleet commanders report ready, announced Admiral Kessna. Her voice tried to sound confident, but fear made it shake. We have ships from 43 species positioned in defensive formations around the planet. Verthkai looked at the tactical display. His military advisors had spent weeks planning this defense. Layer after layer of ships surrounded the capital world. If the mysterious enemy wanted to destroy the heart of the hegemony, they would have. To fight through the largest battle fleet ever assembled. What about civilian evacuation? Vorthka asked. Impossible, Your Majesty, replied General Hextu. We have 12 billion civilians on the planet's surface and another 8 billion in orbital cities. Our transport capacity cannot move them in time. 20 billion aliens lived in the capital system. They had come here seeking protection as world after world went silent across hegemony space. Now they were trapped, waiting to see if their military could protect them from an enemy they had never seen. Light years away, the UE's retribution dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the system. Captain Jake Morrison looked at his sensors and smiled coldly. The aliens had done exactly what he hoped they would do. They had gathered their entire remaining fleet in one place. Sensor report, Jake ordered. Lieutenant Sam Bradley studied his displays with professional interest. Sir, I count 3,014 enemy warships in defensive formation around the fourth planet, multiple species represented. They have established overlapping fields of fire and energy shields. Commander Lisa Torres activated the tactical analysis system. Captain, this is their entire remaining military force. Intelligence estimates suggest they have pulled ships from every surviving system to create this fleet. Dr. Amy Watson was monitoring the biological sensors. 20 billion life signs in the system, sir. This appears to be their final population center. Jake nodded slowly. Perfect. The hegemony had made his job easier by putting all the remaining forces in one system. He would not need to hunt them down across multiple worlds. They had delivered themselves to him. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia checked the ship's systems. All weapons charged and ready, Captain. Stealth systems operating at maximum efficiency. They cannot detect us. Jake walked to the center of the bridge. Around him, his crew worked with the calm efficiency they had developed over 2 months of systematic destruction. They had eliminated 37 alien species so far. Today they would finish the job. Analysis of their defensive formation? Jake asked Torres. Standard overlapping coverage, she replied. They are positioned to protect against conventional attack patterns. Energy shields, missile intercept systems, coordinated firing solutions. Very impressive by normal standards. But useless against our weapons, Jake observed. Completely useless. Torres agreed. Jake studied the tactical display. 3,000 enemy ships, arranged in careful defensive positions. Their crews were probably proud of their formation, confident that they could finally stop the invisible enemy that had been destroying their empire. They were about to learn how wrong they were. Mr. Bradley, prepare a quantum torpedo for stellar destabilization, Jake ordered. Bradley's hands paused over his controls. Sir, are you certain? A stellar destabilization in this system will destroy everything within 50 light minutes of the star. That includes our position. I am certain. Set the torpedo for delayed detonation. We will be safely away before the reaction begins. Dr. Watson looked up from her station. Captain, if we destabilize their star, the supernova will be visible from hundreds of light years away. Every species in this region of the galaxy will know what happened here. Good, Jake replied. Let them see. Let them understand what happens when someone murders human children. The quantum torpedo was humanity's most terrible weapon. It worked by injecting quantum instabilities directly into a star's core, causing the stellar fusion process to become uncontrolled. The result was a supernova explosion that would sterilize every world in the system. Torpedo armed and ready, Bradley reported. Target locked on stellar core. Jake looked at the main screen one last time. 20 billion aliens lived in this system. They had families, hopes, dreams, and fears, just like humans did. Some of them were probably innocent of any crimes against humanity. Jake felt nothing for them. They had chosen to be part of an empire that murdered human families. Now they would pay the price for that choice. Fire. The quantum torpedo launched silently from the Retribution's forward tube. It was invisible to alien sensors. Just another piece of empty space moving toward their star. The torpedo would take 40 minutes to reach its target. That gave Jake plenty of time to deliver his message. Open a communication channel to all ships in the system, Jake ordered. Sir? Torres looked surprised. We have maintained communication silence throughout the entire campaign. Today is different, Jake replied. Today they get to know who killed them. The communication system activated, broadcasting on all frequencies used by the hegemony fleet. For the first time in 2 months, the aliens would hear the voice of their destroyer. Attention hegemony forces, Jake began, his voice calm and cold. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the United Earthship Retribution. 3 months ago, your empire attacked 3 human colonies. You killed every man, woman, and child on those worlds. You broadcast their deaths to show other humans what you could do to us. The alien fleet erupted in confused chatter as they heard the human voice. They had been fighting an invisible enemy for weeks, and now suddenly he was talking to them. You wanted to show humanity what total war looked like, Jake continued. Today, we show you our version. In 35 minutes, your star will become a supernova. Your fleet, your worlds, your people, and your empire will cease to exist. Emperor Vorthka's voice came over the communication channel. Human captain, we can negotiate. We offer full surrender. We will pay any price you demand. Jake's voice remained emotionless. There will be no negotiations. You had your chance for mercy when you attacked our colonies. You chose to kill our families instead. Now you will join them. Please, Vorthka begged. We have civilians here. Billions of innocent people who never wanted war with humanity. Did you spare our innocent civilians? Jake asked coldly. Did you show mercy to human children? There was silence from the alien emperor. They both knew the answer. Admiral Kessna tried a different approach. Captain Morrison, surely you do not want to commit genocide. Your species believes in justice, not mass murder. Jake almost laughed. Admiral, you destroyed 3 entire human worlds. You committed genocide first. We are simply returning the favor. The alien fleet began to scatter, trying to escape the system before the star exploded. It was useless. Even their fastest ships could not reach safe distance in time. The supernova would catch them all. Dr. Watson was monitoring the stellar torpedoes. Progress. 20 minutes to target, Captain. The quantum destabilization process will begin immediately upon impact. Time for us to reach safe distance? Jake asked Garcia. 15 minutes at maximum speed, the engineer replied. Take us out, Jake ordered. The Retribution turned away from the doomed system and accelerated toward the hyperspace jump point. Behind them, 3,000 alien warships tried desperately to flee from their own sun. Some of the alien ships opened fire on empty space, hoping to hit the invisible human vessel. Their weapons passed harmlessly through the areas where they thought the Retribution might be. Jake's ship remained undetected and untouchable. 10 minutes to stellar impact, Watson reported. Jake watched the main screen as they approached the edge of the system. The alien fleet was still trying to escape, but their ships were too slow, and they had started too late. Physics would not be denied. 5 minutes to impact. All alien vessels are still within the destruction radius. Watson continued. Emperor Vorthka made one final transmission. Captain Morrison, if you have any humanity left in you, please spare our people. I beg you, in the name of mercy, do not do this. Jake activated the communication system one last time. Your Majesty, my humanity died when I saw what you did to our colonies. Today, your empire dies with it. Hyperspace jump in 30 seconds. Garcia announced. Jake took one last look at the system. It was about to become a graveyard. 20 billion aliens were about to die, along with 1,000 years of hegemony history. Their empire would be reduced to expanding plasma and radiation. Jump, Jake ordered. The Retribution entered hyperspace just as the quantum torpedo reached the star's core. Light years away, and traveling faster than light, they were safe from the explosion that followed. Dr. Watson monitored the long-range sensors as the star died. Stellar collapse confirmed. Supernova expansion beginning. All matter, within 50 light minutes of the star, is being destroyed. The hegemony capital system became a brief, brilliant star that would be visible across half the galaxy. Every alien species within hundreds of light years would see the light and know that the mighty hegemony had been completely destroyed. Mission status? Jake asked Torres. All primary targets eliminated, Captain. The hegemony no longer E. 6 months later, the U-East Retribution drifted in the empty space where the hegemony capital system used to exist. Captain Jake Morrison stood at the bridge window, watching the expanding cloud of stellar debris that had once been an entire civilization. The supernova remnant glowed with beautiful colors, blues, purples, and gold, spreading outward at incredible speed. It looked peaceful now, but Jake knew that 20 billion aliens had died when that star exploded. The light from their destruction was still traveling across the galaxy, announcing to everyone what happened when humans were pushed too far. Captain, Commander Lisa Torres said as she approached him. Priority message from Earth Command. Jake turned from the window and walked to his command chair. Torres handed him a data pad containing the message. Jake read it slowly, his face showing no emotion. What does it say? Asked Dr. Amy Watson, who was monitoring the ship's long-range sensors. Jake looked up at his crew. Earth Command reports that 17 different alien species have sent formal surrender messages to humanity in the past month. They are offering to dismantle their military fleets and pay tribute to prevent any attacks on their worlds. Lieutenant Sam Bradley looked surprised. 17 species? But we never threatened them. We did not need to threaten them, Jake replied. They watched what we did to the hegemony. They know what human warships can do when we decide someone is our enemy. Chief Engineer Tony Garcia was running diagnostics on the ship's weapons systems. Captain, I have been monitoring alien communications across this entire region of space. Every major government is talking about the human war machine. They are afraid of us. Jake was satisfied to hear it. Fear would keep the peace better than any treaty. Alien species that had been planning expansion into human territory were now pulling their fleets back to defend their home systems. Dr. Watson had been studying the galactic communication networks for weeks. Captain, the aliens have created a new term for what we did here. They call it the Great Silence. 47 star systems that went quiet without any explanation. Torres activated her tactical display. Sir, the psychological impact has been enormous. Military analysts estimate that 6 major alien powers have reduced their fleet sizes by at least 50%. They are too afraid to maintain large military forces. Jake nodded. The destruction of the hegemony had sent exactly the message he wanted to send. Humanity was not a species to be underestimated or attacked. Any alien government thinking about harming human colonies would remember what happened to the last group that tried it. What about the other human colonies? Jake asked, Are they safe now? Completely safe, Torres replied. No alien ships have approached human space in 4 months. Even civilian trade vessels are staying away. The aliens are terrified that any contact might be seen as hostile. Dr. Watson looked up from her console. Captain, I have been analyzing the long-term effects of our campaign. The destruction of the hegemony has changed the balance of power across this entire arm of the galaxy. 3 major trade routes have been abandoned because they passed through former hegemony space. Jake walked back to the window. The expanding supernova remnant was still growing, still spreading the light of the hegemony's destruction across space. Other alien species would see that light for decades to come, a constant reminder of human military power. Sir, Bradley said, Earth Command is asking for our status report. They want to know if we consider the mission complete. Jake thought about the 3 human colonies that had started this war. New Haven, Liberty Point, and Eden's Rest. 3 billion humans had died there, including children, families, and peaceful colonists who had never threatened anyone. The aliens responsible for those deaths were now dead themselves, all of them. Not just the soldiers who had pulled the triggers, but every member of their species. Every government that had supported the attacks. Every civilian who had celebrated human deaths. Tell Earth Command that justice has been served, Jake said finally. The threat to human colonies has been permanently eliminated. Torres typed the message into her communication system. Message sent, sir. Earth Command acknowledges and congratulates the crew on mission success. But Jake did not feel like celebrating. The work was done, but the cost had been enormous. 237 billion aliens had died during their campaign. 47 entire species had been wiped out of existence. Jake and his crew had become something that humans had never been before, a force for complete destruction. Captain, Dr. Watson said quietly, do you think we did the right thing? Jake looked at her. Watson had been struggling with this question for months. She had trained to study alien life, not to help destroy it. But she had seen the recordings from the human colonies. She had watched alien soldiers kill human children for sport. Doctor, the aliens made the choice for us when they attacked our families, Jake replied. We simply responded in kind. They showed us what total war looked like, and we showed them that humans can do it better. Garcia finished his system checks and reported to Jake. Captain, all weapon systems are still fully operational. The ship is ready for immediate deployment if needed. Jake hoped it would not be needed. The galaxy had learned its lesson about attacking humanity. But if some other alien species decided to test human resolve, the retribution would be ready. To teach them the same lesson the hegemony had learned. Plot a course for Earth, Jake ordered. It is time to go home. As the retribution prepared to leave, Torres activated the long-range scanners one final time. Captain, I am detecting multiple alien fleets moving away from human space. It looks like they are establishing defensive positions around their own worlds. That was good. The aliens were learning to stay in their own territory and leave humans alone. The age of alien expansion toward human colonies was over. Dr. Watson made one final entry in her research log. Personal note, humanity's greatest. Strength is not our technology or our weapons. It is our ability to escalate beyond any enemy's imagination. When other species fight wars, they try to win. When humans fight wars, we eliminate the threat completely. Jake read her report and nodded. That was exactly right. The hegemony had thought they understood warfare. They had conquered dozens of species over 1,000 years. But they had never faced an enemy like humanity. The aliens had learned that humans did not fight wars to win territory or resources. When humans went to war, they fought to make sure the enemy could never threaten them again. Ever. Jump to hyperspace, Jake ordered. The retribution disappeared from the dead system, leaving behind only the expanding supernova remnant as a monument to the hegemony's mistake. The light from that explosion would travel across the galaxy for thousands of years, carrying the message that humanity was not to be threatened. Back on Earth, other ships like the Retribution were being built in secret shipyards. Humanity had learned that the galaxy was a dangerous place, full of species that might decide humans were weak enough to attack. Those species would be wrong. The UE's Retribution had proven that when humans decided to end a threat, they did not stop until that threat no longer existed anywhere in the universe. The galaxy was now at peace, but it was the peace of fear. Every alien government knew that human warships were watching from the darkness, ready to emerge if anyone forgot the lesson of the great silence. Jake Morrison and his crew had done their job. They had protected humanity by making an example that would be remembered for 1,000 years. No alien species would ever again make the mistake of attacking human families. The Retribution jumped toward Earth, carrying its crew home to a galaxy that finally understood the price of threatening humanity. Behind them, 47 empty star systems stood as permanent monuments to that understanding. The war was over. Humanity had won. And the galaxy would never forget.